he owes, I'm going to say it in a short way, at least $80,000, if not $180,000.
Jim Jones and his podcast crew went off on 50 Cent's documentary work live on air, and that bold move came back to haunt him fast. Instead of firing back with a diss track or trading shots online, 50 Circle pulled off something way colder. They hit Jim where it really hurt.
Acceptable for someone to create a documentary about you without your approval. How would you feel if it happened to you?
What came next was wild. A landlord partnership, leaked eviction clips, and a whole setup that ended with Jim Jones locked out of his own studio.
It's like
definitely not acceptable. It's facetious and petty.
Right. It's like somebody putting out your tape.
It wasn't just beef anymore. It was a power move straight out of a business playbook. This is how 50 Cent's team clapped back after Jim Jones tried to test G-Unit. Part 1, the podcast that sparked it all. On February 19, 2026, surveillance footage hit the internet showing Jim Jones kicking in a locked door at his podcast studio after the power got cut and the locks were changed. But here's the kicker.
Your permission.
and you're not an actual star.
And they doing
The lighting wasn't good or nothing.
That clip wasn't leaked by some random. It was posted by none other than 50 Cent himself, who had teamed up with the building's landlord and claimed rights to the property. In the days after, things spiraled. 50's business affiliates, the landlord, and even Cameron, Jim's old Dipset partner, all jumped in.
make you just look bad. Oh, they caught me on a bad day? I wasn't even on my they caught a weak one.
They dropped eviction papers, shared phone call recordings, and turned the whole mess into a public spectacle. They clowned Jim Jones hard, mocking him for not even being able to keep the heat on. And this hit wasn't about fists, it was about finances. The blow landed in public, it was organized, and it stung deep because it wasn't random.
The lighting is dark.
Damn.
You see that the lighting is dark?
They looking small
Still
out
put
here.
this on the internet?
Word up.
It was payback. This all traced back to one podcast episode that dropped 2 months earlier, where one simple convo lit the fuse that 50 Cent wasn't about to ignore. Back in December 2025, Jim Jones sat down with Mino Feist and Dave East for an episode of Let's Rap About It.
I would
I
feel
ain't gonna front. I think, if they saluting you,
First of all, they want somebody doing a documentary about.
Things were chill at first until the topic turned to documentaries, and that's where the tension started heating up. Dave East threw out a question. Was it cool for someone to make a documentary about another person without getting that person's approval? That's when the room lit up. Jim Jones instantly called that idea facetious and petty, while Mino compared it to dropping someone's private tape without consent. Everyone piled on, saying how wrong it was to release unflattering footage just to make someone look bad.
Be a dope documentary.
It gotta be dope.
Showing who you are, what you've done,
Bullshit
everything you've
over.
accomplished. Like, a documentary is a big thing. Like, you don't want nobody doing a documentary about like trying to just make your whole character look weak. Like, that's petty.
But it didn't take a genius to catch the real message behind their words. They weren't talking about just anyone. The timing made it obvious who the target was. 50 Cent had just dropped Sean Combs' The Reckoning, a Netflix docuseries digging into the serious allegations against Diddy. The Let's Rap About It crew thought it crossed the line. They said it felt exploitative. They questioned 50's intentions, and they flat out suggested the whole project was more about humiliation than truth. They didn't hold back either. Their tone got sharper with every word, making it clear they believed 50 Cent had turned the camera into a weapon just to tear down another man. They were heated over a documentary made without their approval. You could feel the tension crackling in that room. Everyone agreed this kind of public exposure wasn't just messy, it was meant to destroy someone's image for good. The frustration was thick. And then Jim Jones dropped a line that set the tone for everything that came after.
Build it, but he won't sign them. He's like, I don't like these terms. I want like 6 months of build out. And ridiculous.
The idea was simple, he said. A documentary should honor you, not tear you down. And he said it with his whole chest. Whether Jim was speaking in general or taking a subtle jab, that part still sparks debate. But one thing's for sure, his words hit a nerve. FaZe jumped in too, questioning if projects like that were even legal, hitting at issues of defamation and using someone's likeness without permission. Mino later tried to walk it back on Instagram, saying his comments were part of a broad convo about documentaries, not a personal diss at 50 Cent. But by that point, the damage was already done. because 50 Cent didn't take it as general talk, he took it personal. And when 50 Cent takes something personal, it never stops at words.
Also have a partnership agreement where half of what he's building now, his media, belongs to us. But he won't tell us how much he's making and doing all these things. So half of the content he's creating, if you want to buy that too, I'll sell you half the company.
He flipped the whole situation into a full-blown takedown. He blasted the entire Let's Rap About It crew online, calling them squatters and bums, claiming they owed a jaw-dropping $250,000 in back rent for the studio they were recording in. Then, just to twist the knife, 50 reposted their podcast clips on Instagram with straight-up taunts. He even offered to buy the studio out from under them. From there, 50 started tearing into their credibility, one by one. But Mino wasn't staying quiet.
Insane. To me, it's worth very little to nothing. But if it's out for you, I just throw that in as a sweetener, okay? So what I'm trying to say is he signed a lease with me.
He clapped back on Instagram with personal shots of his own, warning 50 that if it's smoke, it's smoke. By Christmas Day 2025, Mino dropped a squatters' rights freestyle, spitting bars over 50's own beats and throwing shade back at him. It was bold, no doubt, but it backfired fast. All it really did was hand 50 Cent more ammo to use against him, and everyone watching knew he was far from done. What Jim Jones and his co-host didn't see coming was that by questioning 50 Cent's documentary, they had opened a very dangerous door, one that 50 was more than ready to walk through, lease papers in hand. The podcast criticism was one thing, but what 50 did next, that was something else entirely.
He owes, I'm going to say in a short way, at least 80,000, if not 180,000.
Instead of trading diss tracks or throwing shots on Instagram, 50 went straight to the heart of the operation, the landlord of Jim Jones's studio. In a move that fans later called downright diabolical, 50 recorded a phone call with the building's owner, a man named Sam, and then he shared that audio with the world. In that recording, Sam spilled everything. He talked about how his business relationship with Jim Jones and the Let's Rap crew had gone from promising to straight-up toxic. According to Sam, Jones had been using the studio under some sketchy lease terms, asking for huge renovation perks, demanding special treatment, and refusing to finalize the paperwork that would have made it all official. Sam painted a picture of a tenant who wanted all the perks of being a boss without paying the real cost that came with it. But the money mess went way deeper than just missed rent payments. See, Sam wasn't just a landlord collecting monthly checks. He actually claimed he held a contractual stake in the podcast content itself. That's right. Half of what Jones and his crew were recording allegedly belonged to the building's owner under their original deal. And according to Sam, Jones wasn't reporting earnings or being upfront about what the show was making. That silence apparently broke what little trust was left. The tension got so bad that Sam was ready to sell his share of the podcast. And guess who he offered it to? None other than 50 Cent. That single move showed just how cold and business-minded this feud had become. Sam no longer believed in Jim's team or their partnership. Instead, he was ready to cash out and hand his stake over to the very man feuding with his own tenant. It wasn't just drama anymore, it was business warfare, and 50 Cent had just bought himself a front row seat to Jim Jones's downfall. Then came the number, the one that blew up headlines for an entire week and flipped how everyone looked at the Let's Rap About It crew.
Oh nah, this is getting disrespectful and hilarious at the same time.
The landlord dropped a bomb that shook the internet. The podcast's unpaid balance was massive. Reports said it was at least $80,000, maybe even $180,000, and some outlets pushed it all the way up to $250,000. No matter which number you believed, the message was clear. Jim Jones's whole podcast setup was drowning in debt. The irony was brutal. The same crew that sat in that very studio questioning 50's ethics supposedly couldn't even afford to keep the lights on while doing it. And 50 made sure the whole world saw it. He didn't just listen to that landlord call in private, he posted it publicly. He tagged everyone, threw up captions full of mockery, and made it crystal clear that this wasn't just gossip, it was a calculated flex. The message hit hard. While Jim Jones and his co-host were sitting around debating whether 50's documentaries were exploitative, they couldn't even afford the chairs they were sitting on.
I just want to know, how did 50 Cent get access to the camera? Because it's giving Big Brother.
And for 50 Cent, this wasn't the end. This was just a setup. Soon after, reports started circulating that 50 Cent had actually partnered with or even outright bought the building from Sam, the landlord himself. Overnight, 50 went from being a troll online to being the property owner. Then 50 took to Instagram with a post that made the internet stop scrolling. He wrote, "Sam is my partner. I own the joint. Now you gonna fix every door you kick, or I'm gonna kick you, Jimmy." Whether that claim was 100% verified or just more of 50's signature trolling didn't even matter. The perception had already taken over. As far as the public was concerned, 50 Cent was the landlord now. And what came next cemented that image forever. On February 19th, 2026, 50 posted something nobody saw coming. No diss track, no meme, no punchline, just cold, hard security footage. It was time-stamped, clear as day, and painfully humiliating. The clip showed Jim Jones and a few companions standing in the hallway of the IFC film studios, trying to get into their locked podcast room, the same space that had now become 50's latest victory lap.
Pulled up wearing what looks like the same outfit from the viral clip that started showing off martial art moves with Bruce Leroy in the back. Talk about show enough.
That video wasn't just an eviction notice, it was a statement. A power move that turned a petty feud into a full-blown moment in hip-hop history. The lights were off, the doors were locked, the electricity was dead. Jim Jones was standing there in the dark, fumbling with one door, muttering about the power being cut, and when it wouldn't budge, he kicked in another one. Every second of it was caught in crystal clear by the building's security cameras, the same cameras that 50 Cent now seemed to have full access to. And of course, 50 didn't let that moment slide. He posted the footage online with a cold, mocking caption. "Damn, bro, this wouldn't happen if we was friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know. Let's rap about it. LOL. That let's rap about it callback. It wasn't just a joke. It was precision trolling. A calculated move meant to twist the knife right where it hurt, leaving no confusion about who was in control. But 50 didn't stop with the video. He also uploaded a legit eviction notice addressed to Joseph Jones and IFC Management LLC. The paperwork laid it all out. A 15-day default notice had expired on January 22, 2026, followed by a 5-day termination notice that ended on February 17th. So by the time Jim kicked that door down on February 19th, the lease had already been dead for 2 whole days.
It was like he's saying, y'all got jokes, but I'm outside and I'm good.
The document even stated that Jones could only enter to grab his personal items, nothing more. That meant his studio, his setup, his whole podcast home base was officially gone. When the footage hit social media, the explosion was instant. Comment sections were on fire. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Complex called it next level, and everywhere you looked, people were calling 50's move peak petty and pure genius. What really had everyone talking was how 50 had completely flipped the script. No shouting, no threats, no fights. He didn't need any of that. He used paperwork, partnerships, and security footage to shut everything down. One user on X summed it up perfectly.
Was not a rapper.
Right.
He was your man, like on the side, like on the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
This feud gonna last a lifetime. Another wrote, "This is Big Brother energy for real." Fans started speculating how 50 even got access to those cameras. Was it through his deal with the landlord, or had he taken things even further behind the scenes? Whatever the truth was, one thing became clear. 50 Cent had just reinvented what a hip-hop feud could look like. No punches, no diss tracks, just pure power moves. 50 Cent's partnership with the landlord didn't just give him influence, it handed him full access to the building's entire surveillance system. Every camera, every angle, every second of footage was his to watch and to post. The YouTube channel All Urban Central broke the situation down piece by piece, calling it the perfect storm of old beef, business drama, and social media theater. the kind of chaos only 50 Cent could mastermind. The host painted the picture perfectly, describing how viewers were watching two things collide in real time.
Balling took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that.
A serious eviction mixed with the absurdity of viral entertainment. It was both tragic and hilarious, all rolled into one, a spectacle only hip-hop could produce. But all Urban Central didn't shy away from the biggest question. How did 50 even get access to that security footage in the first place? Fans everywhere were asking it, but no one had a clear answer. The idea that 50 could legally or strategically get into the surveillance system had people stunned and impressed. The power of the moment came from that wild contrast. This was a real eviction, a legit legal process, yet somehow it had turned into full-blown internet content. 50 had managed to take a landlord-tenant dispute and flip it into entertainment gold. And he wasn't just trending, he was winning the entire narrative war. Then he turned up the heat. 50 gave Jim Jones a blunt deadline: pay up by Monday or it gets worse. And just like that, he kept the energy rolling.
Watching them be that, like Mace be that and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally, he had one.
Posting new clips, tagging more people, and keeping the humiliation going day after day. Because for 50, embarrassment isn't a one-time stunt, it's a strategy. A slow burn campaign meant to wear his rivals down until they either go silent or give up. Meanwhile, the internet was eating it up. Commenters tore through every frame of that footage like detectives. Some laughed, some roasted, and some just shook their heads in disbelief. One user wrote, "From Dipset to Set Out," while another joked, "The lobby boy's really in the lobby now." Others clowned the physical struggle at the door, writing things like, "Super Thug can't even kick a door right," and "Grandpa Jones needs a locksmith." But the sharpest takes hit deeper. People started tying the clip back to the bigger picture, saying how it exposed how these rappers don't have the money they claim. The fallout went way beyond embarrassment. The footage didn't just humiliate Jim Jones, it cracked the image he'd spent decades building. His credibility, his wealth, his swagger, all of it got put under a microscope. And when it was time to respond, Jim didn't drop a diss track or hold a press conference. Instead, he went a different route. He posted an Instagram story showing himself doing martial arts moves, chopping wood in front of a Bruce Lee poster. It was part message, part metaphor, and maybe his way of saying, "I'm not done yet."
I just looked and I knew, I just took the shot, because I wasn't sure he was gonna go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam.
In the background of Jim Jones' video, the caption read, "Kung Fu Jim, no locked doors at all." It was a slick little jab, a response meant to deflect without confirming a thing. The move was smooth, and commentary channels noticed right away. All Urban Central jumped on it fast, pointing out how Jim refused to play into 50 Cent's trap. Instead of reacting with anger or emotion, he flipped the energy and kept his cool. The host summed it up perfectly. It's almost like he's saying, "Y'all got jokes, but I'm outside and I'm good." That line captured the whole vibe. Jim wasn't begging for sympathy or throwing shade back. He was just showing he was still standing. The channel broke down why that mattered, because when it comes to 50 Cent, the worst thing you can ever do is show him that his trolling works. Once you react, he wins. So by staying calm and turning the moment into content, Jim actually made the smartest move he could have made under the circumstances. The host went even deeper, explaining that this wasn't just about an eviction or a viral video.
Watch and see how, when you see, he like, oh, he really like that. Give me this, give me.
It was history catching up. Every look, every post, every punchline between these two was loaded with years of unspoken tension and ego. And they were right. The feud between 50 Cent and Jim Jones runs deep. It stretches all the way back to the mid-2000s, when G-Unit and Dipset were two of the biggest forces in New York hip-hop. The tension wasn't always open beef. It simmered quietly under overlapping rivalries, industry politics, and crew loyalties that never quite lined up. But then came 2007, the year everything changed. That's when 50 Cent publicly went at Cock Records, Jim Jones's label at the time, calling it a graveyard live on Hot 97. The diss didn't just land, it detonated. Cameron called in on air to defend his label, and suddenly a full-on war of words erupted between 50 and Cam. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Dipset was already crumbling. Jim Jones and Cam weren't even speaking at that point. The crew was splintering, and 50, being the strategist he is, saw an opportunity and moved in with predator precision.
So starting the year off at the top of your Explorer. Are you not entertained?
That September, he invited Jim Jones and Jules Santana to perform at a G-Unit concert, and unbelievably, they showed up. They performed We Fly High, Dipset's own anthem, right on 50 Cent's stage. For Cameron, that was betrayal. For 50 Cent, it was pure strategy. He didn't just want a show, he wanted to prove he could turn rivals into allies, even for only one night, and he succeeded, right in front of the whole city. Years later, 50 broke it all down himself, revealing that the move wasn't spontaneous at all. It was calculated from the start. He knew exactly what he was doing. He saw that Jim was finally getting his first real solo success with Ballin', and he understood what that meant to a man who had spent years watching others eat first. That was 50's genius, reading people, understanding their hunger, and using it to play chess while everyone else was still swinging checkers pieces.
Everybody want to put my business in the street. I'm going to talk to you about my business. Right now, I am in the second phase of construction.
And that moment in 2007 didn't just shift alliances, it set the stage for a rivalry that decades later still refuses to die. 50 Cent once compared Jim Jones watching his Dipset brothers blow up to the same kind of hunger Lloyd Banks must have felt watching other G-Unit members take off first. That quiet frustration, that itch to finally be the one in the spotlight. 50 saw that in Jim immediately. Jones wanted that solo shine badly, and 50 knew exactly how to use that. So he dangled the bait, and Jones bit. That now iconic line, "We like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam," wasn't a compliment, it was a weapon, a psychological setup meant to slice straight through Dipset's foundation. It fed Jim the validation he'd been chasing for years, while at the same time it disrespected Cameron publicly. It was a classic 50 Cent move, manipulating ambition and insecurity at the same time, all while smiling like it was just talk.
In my mind, I was thinking of building like a little mart, but we'll see how that goes. Hold up, look. Tell you what we'll be doing. I'm building a multi-purpose content creation facility for media, fashion, music, and broadcast.
Jim took that flattery in, and that's when 50 knew his plan had landed perfectly. He saw the hunger in Jones's eyes, that mix of pride and desperation, and he used it. That one 2007 moment would echo for decades, becoming the blueprint for how these two would keep circling each other in an endless cycle of provocation, manipulation, and retaliation. Fast forward nearly 20 years, and the eviction drama? It's not random. It's the latest chapter in the same ongoing story. 50 Cent's masterclass in turning every feud into fuel. Because what happened with Jim Jones in that studio footage wasn't just about rent. It was about strategy. It was part of a system 50's been perfecting since the early 2000s, a beef machine that turns every enemy into content, every controversy into cash, and every L someone takes into a W for his brand.
Those opportunities, they still be here working in the midst of us working. So we're still in the midst of construction.
The roots of this playbook go all the way back to his war with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. After surviving a shooting in 2000, allegedly tied to that camp, 50 came back swinging. He dropped Wankster and built G-Unit from the ground up, using mixtapes, interviews, and brutal strategy to tear Ja's empire apart piece by piece. That feud wasn't just music, it was psychological warfare, physical fights, industry blacklists, smear campaigns. 50 turned chaos into currency. His relentless mixtape drops caught the attention of Eminem and Dr. Dre, who saw the genius behind the madness and signed him. That's how a street rivalry turned into superstardom. The biggest lesson 50 took from that era was simple but deadly. Conflict is marketing. When you control the story, you control the spotlight. And unlike most rappers who learn that lesson once and move on, 50 never let it go. He built a career empire out of that principle, applying it with precision through beef after beef. Rick Ross, Floyd Mayweather, Tierra Mari, each situation followed the same ruthless pattern. Provoke.
What I'm trying to say is I've been happy to be able to invest in myself in something that I know is going to help a lot of other people. I'm not building this facility for myself.
Escalate, document, post, and then sit back while the internet does the heavy lifting. He doesn't just start beef, he engineers it. Fans on X have crowned him the roast god and the best troll on the net, and they're not wrong. Even Billboard has written about how 50 has become hip-hop's ultimate narrator, the guy who stirs chaos but somehow stays perfectly clean while his rivals scramble to react. The Jim Jones saga might be the most cold-blooded and calculated version of this game yet. No diss tracks, no brawls, no back-and-forth bars. Instead of weapons or words, 50 used property deals. Instead of street fights, he used legal filings. Instead of subliminals in a verse, he used security camera footage and eviction notices. He literally turned paperwork into performance art, posting lease termination documents, timestamps, and eviction details so precise there was no room for confusion. Every post was like a chess move, strategic and humiliating at all once. And when you look at the numbers, the whole picture makes sense. The playing field was never even close. 50 Cent isn't just a rapper, he's a one-man business empire. He sold over 30 million albums worldwide, landed 3 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, and built massive media success through G-Unit Films and the unstoppable Power TV franchise. Add in his legendary vitamin water deal, which pulled in around $100 million, and it's clear why 50 moves like a mogul who can't be touched.
It is a business move, that's why I invested in myself. But I'm building a facility for all creators.
But 2026, reports put his net worth anywhere between $40 million and $100 million, depending on who you ask. Meanwhile, Jim Jones, while still respected in hip-hop circles, peaked commercially back in the mid-2000s with We Fly High. Since then, he's dropped 7 solo albums, but none of them broke 21,000 first-week sales after 2005. His estimated net worth now? Somewhere between $400,000 and $600,000. That gap, that massive financial divide, isn't just a background stat, it is the battlefield. When 50 Cent offers to buy the studio you can't afford to keep, it's not just business, it's dominance on display. The power imbalance doesn't need to be explained, it screams for itself. And yet, to his credit, Jim Jones hasn't vanished or folded. He didn't beg, rant, or try to deny it. He flipped the moment and turned it into content. His Kung Fu Gym video was a subtle clapback, reframing the whole eviction fiasco as free promo, like saying, "Go ahead and talk, I'm still trending." Because even if 50 Cent's empire runs laps around him, Jones knows one thing for sure: as long as people are still talking, the story's not over. Not long after the humiliation storm, Jim Jones flipped the script again. He posted a full walkthrough of his studio space, showing active construction and new projects underway. Instead of playing the part of a man publicly clowned by 50 Cent, he repositioned himself as an investor and builder, someone creating a multi-purpose content hub, not licking his wounds. His opening line set the tone. He didn't dodge the attention or hide from it, he owned it. He turned that spotlight of embarrassment into a moment of showmanship, shifting the focus from the man who got evicted to the man still expanding. As Jones walked through the raw, half-finished rooms, he showed off boutiques, barbershops, and new studios still in progress. He pointed to the chaos, the tools, the wires, the dust, not as signs of failure, but as proof that something big was being built. He wasn't standing in ruins, he was standing in a work in progress. And as he moved through the space, he highlighted young creators grinding in those same cold, unpolished rooms. Editors, stylists, and artists still putting in work despite the conditions. Jones turned their presence into a statement. Opportunity matters more than comfort. The message was clear. This was about vision, not luxury, and no landlord drama or rap beef could derail that. He even addressed the cold temperatures that had become a running joke online. 50 Cent had mocked it hard, even adding wind sound effects and captions of the crew bundled up like they were shooting a survival film. But instead of pretending it wasn't real, he leaned into it, laughing at the cold, acknowledging the grind, and flipping the tone from humiliation to hustle. That move said everything about his new approach: own the mess, control the story, and keep building. By the end of the walkthrough, Jones had reframed the entire situation. The studio wasn't just a podcast setup anymore, it was a community project. He presented it as an incubator for up-and-coming creators who didn't have the big budget resources, a space where people could start small and still dream big. He might have lost a lease, but in that moment, Jim Jones made it clear he wasn't losing momentum. But even as Jim Jones tried to reclaim his image, 50 Cent wasn't ready to let the story fade, not even close. The man thrives on momentum, and when the internet starts talking, he keeps the noise going until everyone is picked aside. Within days, 50 dropped a new round of posts, mixing humor with humiliation, resharing Jones's walkthrough clips with sarcastic captions like "Investor Energy" or "Eviction Tour," and "My tenant's still grinding, I respect it." He knew exactly what he was doing, keeping the algorithm spinning and the audience glued. And as usual, the world responded. Blogs broke down every angle, reaction videos flooded YouTube, and comment sections turned into battle zones between G-Unit loyalists and Dipset defenders. But behind the chaos, something deeper was playing out. A clash between two generations of hustle. 50 Cent represents the corporate conqueror, a man who built empires out of controversy. He's the businessman who weaponized beef and turned it into brand currency. Jim Jones, on the other hand, stands for the grind from the ground up era, a street artist turned entrepreneur who still believes in physical spaces, face-to-face culture, and neighborhood ownership. Their rivalry isn't just personal anymore, it's philosophical.
Appreciate the promo. I love free promo. You know I ain't gonna miss a beat.
While 50 plays chess on social media, Jones doubles down on real-world progress. By early March 2026, he was back on Instagram showing fresh renovations, new lighting, fresh paint, even a small crowd of creators filming inside the reopened space. His caption read, "We still working, you can't evict the vision." That line alone reignited sympathy across the culture. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just about failure, it was about resilience. Still, 50 couldn't resist another jab. He reposted Jones's clip with a sly grin in the caption, "Now that's the spirit, Jimmy. Just make sure rent's on autopay." It was classic 50, part comedy, part cruelty, but always entertaining. The truth is, both men were winning in their own ways. 50 Cent had once again proven that he could dominate headlines without dropping a single verse, turning drama into digital gold. Jim Jones, meanwhile, turned what looked like defeat into an underdog comeback story, the kind fans love to root for. Industry insiders began to frame their tension as the perfect storm. 50, the billionaire troll who feeds on chaos, versus Jones, the scrappy survivor who refuses to stay silent. It wasn't just beef anymore. It had become a new kind of storytelling, where every post, every video, and every clapback added another chapter. And as 2026 rolled on, whispers began surfacing that 50's production company was developing a docu-series about hip-hop feuds and business wars. Fans couldn't help but wonder, would the Jim Jones saga end up as the season premiere? Because if there's one thing everyone's learned by now, when 50 Cent gets the last laugh, it usually comes with a camera rolling. And in the end, Jim Jones wrapped it all up with one final line, a statement that perfectly summed up his entire stance against 50 Cent's relentless onslaught. He didn't deny the chaos or admit defeat. Instead, he made it clear that the attention itself was the trophy. To him, the conversation, the trending clips, the headlines, the memes was the win. But whether that defiant response is enough to balance out the damage remains unclear. Reports soon surfaced claiming Jones had wired over $200,000 to the landlord to settle the debt and keep control of his space, a move that showed he wasn't giving up on his vision. Yet, true to form, 50 Cent kept posting as if nothing had changed, reminding everyone that even if the bills got paid, the humiliation couldn't be undone. Then came another twist. Cameron, Jones's former Dipset ally, jumped into the mix. Cam mocked Jim's rumored financial struggles and even joked about sending him money through Zelle to help with the heat. That jab reopened old wounds, and Jones fired right back, calling Cam soft and freaky, reigniting a feud that had been quiet for years. Suddenly, the circle of shots grew wider and messier as old friends turned into new commentators. By February 21st, 2026, there was still no legal filings, just a storm of online threats, subs, and endless trolling. Both sides seemed perfectly happy keeping the spectacle alive, feeding off each other's energy, each trying to outlast the other in the digital arena. And just like all Urban Central said in their final breakdown, the real question isn't who's right or wrong, but who's really winning. Is it the man who controls the narrative or the one who refuses to disappear from it?